See you then. It is 7:10. Well, swine flu continues to spread around the world, although there's been no increase in the World Health Organization alert level. Mexico says it has 260 confirmed infections. The number in the US has hit 111. Canada has 13, Britain 5, Spain 4, Germany and New Zealand 3, Israel and Costa Rica 2, Austria, the Netherlands, Peru and Switzerland each have a case. In Australia, 131 people are waiting for their test results to come back.
So how well has Australia responded to the crisis? Well, let's ask our big guns of politics, Leader of Government Business Anthony Albanese and Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Anthony, we just said there are 131 people waiting for test results here in Australia. I mean, looking at that map, do you think it's inevitable that we'll get some cases here?
Well, not inevitable, but certainly we've got to prepare for it. One thing that is good news is that of the Australians who were on the plane with the young New Zealanders who appear to have caught the disease, so far none of them are showing, there were 15, none of them are showing any symptoms. So that's pretty good news.
Okay. Well, we certainly cracked down on our border security. We have thermal imaging sort of machines right across the country, including 8 airports. Joe, is this an adequate response, or are we getting a bit over the top?
Look, Koshy, I think the government's got it about right. I think, effectively the 30 imaging machines that are being rolled out we bought in 2006. You can always say legitimately they could have got them out a day earlier, but effectively you can't go down the path of... It's a fine balance for a government in these situations between panic and creating panic and actually doing something. I think basically the response has been good. And look, we just all hope that if there is a case here, it can be quarantined.
I think the critical thing is that we act on the advice of the Chief Medical Officer. The Cabinet met on Tuesday. He came in and gave a very comprehensive report. Joe's perhaps had that experience in the past, and we've taken his advice. We will continue to take his advice. It's important that the medical authorities, not the politicians, control the response. It is important that we don't panic, but that we have a considered response.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
See, we're a unity ticket, aren't we happy?
Again?
Oh, you
nice.
Give each other a big hug.
No.
It's a special kind of love hug at the end of the show.
All right. We'll leave you to do that just in a short moment. But in the meantime, let's talk about the economy. Political leaders have just signed off on changes to the youth allowance. Now, anyone under 25 needs to be working, studying or training to get the help. Anthony, why did you decide to toughen up these rules on young workers?
Well, because I think we've got to learn the lessons of the past and ensure that today's young unemployed aren't tomorrow's long-term unemployed. We need to get in there. It's a basic principle, I think, that people should be learning or earning at that age. And there are 3 categories for those under 17. The preferred option is to see them at school. We're aiming for to lift up the Year 12 retention rate to 90%. I think that sort of makes common sense in today's world, and we want to make sure that we train people. We need to be the smart country, and that's what this is aimed at.
Joe, it sounds a bit like work for the dole, is it? They're sort of picking up on the ideas?
Well, yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? There's a couple of questions I've got, and they're legitimate questions. The first is, if a 20-year-old doesn't go and study, then the parents could lose a family tax benefit. And I don't know how many parents can control their 20-year-old or 19-year-old. I mean, they're over the age of 18. Imagine, there's a family that's doing it pretty tough. They've got a 20-year-old, a 14-year-old and a 10-year-old. They lose the payments that might be paying the family bills because the 20-year-old just takes off. What do you? I don't understand why you why you go down that path if that's the case.
There's a lot of 20-year-olds these days living at home, of course. More and more people are working. Sure. Look, we need a common sense approach to this, but we also need you need some incentive there to make sure that people are engaged in activity. That's the critical thing, that if you're not in a job, that you're engaged in learning activity, i.e. preparing yourself for a job.
But how do you make them in a situation like Joe's just mentioned? How do you then either make the 20-year-old or protect the family?
Well, there's a penalty, of course, for the non-participation, and by involving a family tax benefit A, that's an attempt to say that parents have to accept some responsibility as well. It is there will be difficulties, I'm sure, but overall I think that this is a very good policy.
Just give us a guarantee that it's not hiding the level of unemployment too.
Well,
I mean, because it's a legitimate point, because last time this happened, when unemployment was going up dramatically, there was what was called Working Nation, which Keating rolled out, which was an ongoing training program to mask the real level of unemployment. Give me an assurance.
Working Nation was a very effective program.
Give me an assurance that this is not masking unemployment.
This is aimed at ensuring that young people aren't left behind.
Okay.
And
so
learning
the
lessons.
assurance, the guarantee
Absolutely.
that it's not masking unemployment?
This is good in and of itself. At any time this would be good. Now it's particularly good.
All right. Just before we go, big fella, you reckon local councils should be scrapped?
Hang on. I'm the local government minister.
At a speech yesterday you were giving to the Australia-Israel Chamber of Commerce. Anthony, what do you reckon?
That's just...
One too many levels of government? Should local councils go?
No, not at all. I think local government varies in its quality. That is true. And Joe and I would agree on some of the councils that we think that's the case on, I'm sure.
Mossman Council in particular. 300 people at a public meeting, and the council votes against the local community. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? Democracy doesn't rule in some of these councils, and it sends me spare.
Well, that's true, but it is democracy nonetheless. And I think that local government, look, we've been rolling out the community infrastructure program in partnership with local government around the country. Fantastic projects identified by local communities, much better than Canberra deciding what should happen in
Albo, what's your council
today.
like?
Mine is varied in terms of its quality, can I say. I think some of their priorities... The problem with my...
The gene pool is smaller, right?
The problem with my councils, I think similar to some of Joe's, is that you have people in local government who really want to be in state or federal parliament. Yeah. So they engage in not just those issues, but international issues as well. Yeah, I think local government, when it sticks to local issues, does a very good job.
Maybe flip it around. Hands up, who likes their council?
Yeah.
Their local council.
This is funny.
I like the mayor. The mayor's a terrific guy.
Yeah. Everyone says councils vary, but everyone's local council is the dodgy one. Fellas, have a great weekend.
Yeah, see you later.
Are
you guys back at work next week, by the way?
Back at work. As if we don't work when Parliament's not
What
sitting.
time are you finishing today, Koshy?
About 3. 12
This afternoon. That's right.
We'll give me a call later on.
All right. Yeah. You ring at midnight, and then I'll ring at about 5 past midnight.
18 minutes.
I was in Manila this
How's
time.
the overtime?
All right, let's move on. 19 minutes past 7. Well, hardly a day goes by